Hello, welcome to Jason the Old Millennial. My name is Jason, speaking to you here in my basement in the great state of Kansas. Today's video, I'm continuing a series I just started, my top 100 favorite albums, which I'm doing this is my second edition of this that I just kind of put together. And I'm doing 10 albums at a time, so just one at a time. So trying to get through this pretty quickly. So now we're doing number 90 through number 81 on my list. And man, I got, again, couple albums that are big albums, actually a lot of big albums that are probably top 10 albums for most people. So don't be mad. I got these albums all in this area, kind of the bottom half of my list, but good albums. I just don't love them as much as other people do, unfortunately, and you'll get when I get to it. So again, warning, I know you're going to be mad at some of these album rankings, but what can you say? It's just my opinion on what I like anyway. So, but hopefully enjoy this new edition of Jason's Top 100 Albums here on Jason the Old Millennial. Hello, everybody. Hope everybody's doing well here on Monday, starting a new week. Getting to the end of October, getting close to Halloween time as well. So a lot going on here. I just started this this last week, so I'm kind of getting through this hopefully fairly quick. My friend Scott from SoundLab Studios is doing his own top 100, and he's done his first 20 already. Nick from his channel, Townsend 5R5, is doing his top 100 albums, and he's doing them one at a time, basically, or two at a time, but Monday, Wednesday, Friday, so he's getting through them a little bit slower, but we're hopefully all going to and I'm keeping track of all three, and I'll probably do something about all three of our lists. Because it's kind of interesting. The three of us are good friends. We have different tastes. We're going to have some of the same albums, but a lot of different albums depending on our taste. And you'll see on this list especially. Anyway, saying that, glad to get to another 10 albums. So we're getting to number 90. Number 90. This is a big album. This is an album that I know a lot of people are not going to be happy that I have it this low. And it's definitely culturally, historically, one of the most important albums of all time. But just based on what I like, it's here. Number 90, and that is Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band from the Beatles, of course. Comes out in 1967. I unfortunately don't have a copy yet. That's one I still need to get in my collection, my final collection. I hope to get someday. I know it's huge. It was number one in Rolling Stone's 500 albums for many years until they kind of decided to take that out and put another album in. Many lists, it's considered probably the greatest album of all time. Even amongst Beatle fans, a lot of Beatle fans have this towards the top of the list. Funny enough, I don't. This is, like I said, I had Hard Day's Night is my 9th favorite album. Sgt. Pepper is my 8th favorite Beatles album, which might seem sacrilege, but I mean, I do have some Beatles albums that I absolutely love that are really high on my list. So being a big Beatles fan, I have 9 albums on my list, and you'll see a lot of them coming up, especially towards when we get the top 10 or top 20. You're going to see some more that I absolutely love. Unfortunately, more than this one, but still, like I said, it's obviously a very important album. It's still got a lot of good stuff here, so I had to put it in my top 100. Even though for me, it's a little overhyped, I think, as an album. But I see that it was like I said, historically, pop culture wise, whatever, very important. It was something groundbreaking kind of album that I think people hadn't seen before. So I know if you lived during the time in 1967, I'm sure you're like, yeah, this was the greatest album I've ever heard. I get that. Of course, I'm looking back on it from many decades after it came out and looking back at what I like anyways. But yeah, Sgt. Pepper's, it has, to me, 5 excellent songs, and everything else is kind of below par for me for Beatles. I mean, obviously, start with Sgt. Pepper's and then goes right into A Little Help from My Friends. Really cool transition there. A Little Help from My Friends, great song. Definitely the first song I can say is one of my favorite on the album. Probably my second favorite song that Ringo sang with the band. Very nice, catchy, good back and forth between Ringo and the backing vocals, John and I guess Paul and George, whatever. Some really great stuff there. It's a classic for sure. It's getting better, I think. It's a really great song. Another super catchy. Love the guitar work on that, and different tempos or time signatures throughout it is really cool. Yeah, really cool song, very catchy. One of my favorite in the album. The greatest probably discovery I've ever had is hearing "She's Leaving Home." It's probably the best hidden gem song of the Beatles. Like it's a song you probably don't know if you're not a big Beatles fan because it's not on the radio. It's not a big hit song. It's a song that you only know if you heard this album, and it's amazing. Like it's a beautiful, beautiful kind of ballad, but it tells a really cool story of a girl running away from home and the parents being confused. Like we gave her everything we got. How come, she still left? There's something there. She wasn't loved enough or whatever. The parents didn't understand. So it's a really cool story based kind of on a true story that Paul writes here. But man, the chorus is so good. Paul's high vocals of "She's what did we do that was wrong?" Like the whole back and forth is leaving. Oh, so beautiful. Beautiful piano, beautiful like harp in there. Yeah, I love that song. Then you got Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds, one of the best psychedelic songs the Beatles did. Really like that song as well. Obviously that chorus, Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds. So good. Super catchy, very interesting lyrically, really kind of paints this kind of wild world, kind of a Alice in Wonderland type world of cool imagery and all that anyway. So yeah, another classic for theirs. And then the ending, "A Day in the Life," is my favorite song on the album. Top 10 Beatles song for me, of course. It's considered by many as their greatest song. And it's pretty cool the way they did it. I love the intro into with the acoustic guitar and "I read the news today, oh boy." So good, that intro, and with John coming in with the vocals. And I love just the storytelling of like these different news articles that he's reading and he's singing about it in each verse. Great vocals from John. And then we got that instrumental, that orchestra build up into Paul's part, which I'm not crazy about Paul's part, but it's fine. It's kind of this interlude between the first half and second half of this John's part, I guess, or something like that. But it's good because you get that build up. I love the build up. And then we get back to John's part and then ends with that build up again. It's so cool. Never heard anybody do that before. The orchestra build up and then that last note, bum. Really cool idea for, just a really cool idea for a song. And that's why it's so famous. But yeah, great song as well. For me, why it's so low is that I really do not like "Within You Without You." It's my least favorite George song, probably, or that or "Inner Light." "Inner Light" might be my least favorite. This is probably my second least favorite George Harrison song that he's sung and he's written. Very, Hindu, very sitar heavy, not stuff I care for at all. Also, "Being for the Benefit of Mr. Kai," I really never cared for that song either. Just not a Beatle. It's a kind of another novelty song that they did that I don't know, didn't work for me. And then the other songs to me are just okay, like "When I'm 64," "Lovely Rita," "Fixing a Hole." It's like, I'm not like super crazy about them. It's like they're mediocre Beatles songs. So that's why "Sgt. Pepper's" for me is at number 90. Sorry I couldn't get any higher, but if I'm being honest, it's just not as good as other people say it is. So that's it. Number 90, "Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band." So get that out of the way. I got a couple of other big hits here that you might not be happy about, but we'll get to it. 89, I got "Moondance" by Van Morrison, which came out in 1970. This is the only Van Morrison album I have on my list. Van Morrison is another one of those artists that I really need to delve into at some point. I haven't done a deep dive on him. I've only listened to maybe 2 albums. This and Astral Weeks, which I know Astral Weeks is also like very famously like one of his big albums. I didn't care for Astral Weeks. I listened to that and I was like, But I know he wrote that and then he wrote this because Astral Weeks didn't do very well commercially, I think. It's not really a very commercial, sounding album with a lot of radio-friendly songs. So he wrote this to be a little more commercial, to have more radio-friendly type music. And I think it really worked for him because there's some really great stuff on this album. It's funny looking at it. My 5 favorite songs is the first side. The side 1, those 5 songs, really great. Actually, I almost would say it's like one of the best sides I've heard now looking at it. But we begin with "And It Stoned Me," really great opener. And Van Morrison, if you don't know, of course, he's kind of it's a bit of a folk and pop album and a little bit of jazz in there too, I would say, kind of feel. And he's a singer-songwriter, I would say. There's a mixture of acoustic guitar, piano and a lot of horns as well on the other instruments. So it's a really cool combination of different instruments and styles that really work. And Van Morrison, really great singer. I love his style of singing on this album. But yeah, And It Stoned Me, real good opener to it. Moondance, oh man, the title song, it is such a cool song. It has such a great groove to it. Bum, bum, bum. It has these bum, bum, bum. And great vocals and a really cool flute. It's like a jazzy flute in there. Really cool. It makes you feel like you're like, I always say like, I picture myself in a club, like a jazz club, you know, and hearing this song, you know, and being a really cool, like club jazz kind of really cool groovy song. Anyways, really works for me. I love Moondance. My favorite song actually is Crazy Love. Crazy Love, really good love song. Great acoustic guitar playing here. Van Morrison killing the vocals. You know, and it's very catchy. The love, 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 crazy love. Oh, one of those songs that just gets in your head and you can't get it out. It's so good. Caravan, another really, and again, these aren't big hits, I'd say. I think Crazy Love maybe was on the radio. Moondance, maybe. But none of them are big hits. Like a lot of these are like deep cuts to me. But really good stuff. So definitely if you don't know Van Morrison, I can't recommend this album enough, Moondance. Even if you, like I said, I haven't heard much of his other stuff, so I don't know if it sounds any similar to this one or if this is an outlier. I'll see at some point. Caravan, though, another great song. And Into the Mystic, I think the closer to side one. Again, just love the vocals and the acoustic guitar on these songs. Yeah, definitely very unique, I think, artist, Van Morrison, so far that I've heard. So definitely want to get more to stuff. But yeah, 89 is Moondance by Van Morrison. Number 88, I actually have this album. And this is my second Coldplay album, A Rush of Blood to the Head. Came out in 2002, the year I graduated from high school. And like I said, I had Parachutes on, was the first album. I think this was their second album. So I believe, and so the first two albums, man, they're my two favorite albums. They're really killing it on these first two and hitting you with some really big hits as well. And I remember I did this contest of like, what's your favorite album the year you graduated? Because I passed my 20 years anniversary when I graduated from high school. And this was my pick for best album the year I graduated was this one. And yeah, definitely considered one of the great Coldplay albums. Definitely, I would say Parachutes and this is the first two albums. I would say if you haven't gotten to Coldplay, listen to Parachutes and listen to this one. I think this is some of their best stuff. Exolo, My Loto, I like as well. I also recommend, but again, I probably need to listen to more Coldplay albums. But the ones I've heard, it's got some pretty good stuff there. It's got three major hits on this album that were big radio hits. In My Place. Love it. Love that guitar. Oh, so catchy. And a good rock song. What I love about Coldplay is their ability to, they can do really great piano ballads, of course. The lead singer, such a great singer. One of my favorite vocalists, I would say. But I love his piano playing. It's amazing. He can play these great piano ballads. He has to do some, but the guitar playing is really good on these songs too. He can do some really good rock songs with the guitar and the piano. It was really good rock piano on some of these songs. So it's a good combination of ballads and rock songs, I think, that I really love about this album. In My Place was a great song, kind of a hit song on the radio. Then The Scientist is probably my favorite Coldplay song. It's up there. There's a couple Coldplay songs that's in contention, but Scientist is definitely one of them. Love that piano. It's so kind of haunting kind of piano playing and with his vocals, oh my gosh, it's just an amazing kind of ballad type song. He hits these really great high notes, you know. Yeah, I love his tenor voice. Works really well with this. But yeah, you definitely probably have heard the song. It was a huge hit for them. Great music video as well. Then you got Clocks was the other one that was a big radio hit. It's a much faster up-pace piano song. Great piano kind of riff. Very catchy. One of the most catchy songs, probably the catchiest song on the album. Like I said, those three songs are like some of the best Coldplay songs. That's why this album's so good and why it's this high, or why it makes it to my top 100. You got those three. But everything else is pretty good too. All the deep cuts, like God Put a Smile on Your Face, really good. And Daylight was really good. And other stuff is pretty good too. But those are the ones that are my favorite. But yeah, just for those three songs, this is an amazing album. I highly recommend. A Rush of Blood to the Head at number 88 by Coldplay. So those are my two Coldplay albums I've already put out on my list. All right, 87 is my start of. I have 3 Bob Dylan albums on my list, and 2 of them are on this side. In fact, all 3 are kind of in the bottom half. I like Bob Dylan. I don't love Bob Dylan, but I mean, I do. I need to probably go back and listen to more of his albums. He has a lot of albums, but I've listened to all his big ones, of course, which I don't have this album on CD or anything, I don't think. So, but number 87 is Blood on the Tracks, which came out in 1975 from Mr. Bob Dylan. Definitely considered one of his big albums. I think one of his big 3. I think that you'd say it came out interesting because his big stuff usually came out in the 60s. This comes out much later in the 70s. It feels like, but yet probably his best album I've heard. Like because like my favorite albums were in the 60s period, and then you got this one in 75, which is also absolutely excellent. Of course, what do you say about Bob Dylan? Not a good singer. But man, what a songwriter. And he can still write some catchy songs kind of here and there. But songs are just so unique to Bob Dylan that his voice works even though it's not very good. And this album has, I would say, 2 kind of big hits on it. Tangled Up in Blue, the opener, is probably his biggest song on here, which is very good. It's Tangled Up in Blue. Like the way he sings it, it is a really good song. The other big one is one of my favorite Bob Dylan songs of all time. Towards the second to last song is Shelter from the Storm. Love Shelter from the Storm. That's a top 5 Bob Dylan song for me. And it's interesting because it's catchy. The oh, shelter from the storm. You know, when he gets in, each like verse ends with that shelter from the storm line. And I'm not sure what it's about, but it's like a guy like seeking shelter, and they seek shelter with this girl and a stranger or something like that. And I'm not sure lyrically what's about necessarily, but it's one of those where it's like there's no chorus really. It's just, and that's what's so interesting about Bob Dylan. It's like he doesn't do choruses; he just does a bunch of verses. I mean, he does like it feels like he does like 10 verses in the song, when normally you only do like maybe 3 verses in a song. He does like 10 of them with no chorus. And so the end of each verse is almost like a chorus. It's like one line that's like kind of like the chorus, I guess, but it ends each verse that way, and it goes to the next verse. So very interesting songwriting, but man, it is a great song. It's fairly long, but man, it's a joy. Don't mind it being that long. And Bob Dylan's one of those who can make long songs sound great and not sound like they're dragging too much. But yeah, love Shelter from Storm. Other songs I really like, Idiot Wind is pretty good. Lily Rosemary and the Jack of Hearts, I really like that song. It's a real deep cut. I don't really hear people talk about that one, but man, I really like that. If You See Her, Say Hello is also really great. Nice kind of softer song for him. It's definitely, this album definitely has a bit of a loneliness to it, because it's believed that he was like breaking up with his wife at this time, or that he's going to get divorced, something like that. So he's a little bit, the album's a little bit kind of, reflecting that, a little bit sadness to it. So there's a little bit of sadness to the album. The Bob Dylan I've heard said that's not true at all, or something like that, but a lot of people believe it is. But so I do like some of that sadness in here. Actually works really well. It ends with Buckets of Rain. Another kind of quirky but really catchy song. I really enjoy that as well. But yeah, Blood Trucks, really great Bob Dylan album here at number 87 on my list. And number 86, another album I have, and this is maybe the most obscure artist on my list, or at least one of them, that I feel like I love this artist, and I don't know, I haven't really met too many people that have loved them as much as me, unfortunately. Hopefully there's some out there, but this is 9 by Damien Rice. The name of the album's 9. This came out in 2006. This is the second album. He only made 3 albums, which is kind of crazy, and I really love the first 2. I said he doesn't have any. Again, big hits, no commercial songs, no radio hit songs, unfortunately. But some amazing stuff here. That man, I'm so happy I discovered him just by chance. I kind of discovered him by hearing a song in a movie and going, "What is this?" And I'll talk about that a little bit later here. But once I discovered him, I like went through his album, then his first album, and then this album 9. And man, I just fell in love with Damien Rice at that point when I listened to these 2 albums. Now, the first song, 9 Crimes, great song. One of my favorite on the album. One of my favorite, like top 10, like Damien Rice It's such a cool piano that it's a very haunting song, very catchy, and there's a good duet with and I'm forgetting. There's a girl that he always duets with on these albums. That I'm forgetting. Lisa Hannigan. Yeah, Lisa Hannigan. Great vocalist as well. I love when they do when she sings with him on some of these songs. Nine Crimes is a great example of that. I've heard the song, I think, in Shrek 3. Shrek 3, it's not their version, but someone sings this Nine Crimes, a little bit of it at one point. And so it's kind of cool. So you might have heard it, if you've seen Shrek 3, you might not realize you've heard the song, at least part of it anyways. But yeah, Nine Crimes, maybe the most well-known song on the album. Really great, but lots of good stuff here. There's only 10 songs on the album, but you got The Animals Were Gone is absolutely excellent. Oh my gosh, it's like one of those very low-key songs, not a lot going on, and then all of a sudden at the end of the song, what I love about Damon Rice, I mean, he's another kind of folk singer-songwriter type guy, who's, I think, writes really good songs, though the lyrics I don't always understand, but great voice. Love the acoustic guitar playing. A lot of the songs are more acoustic and sometimes piano. And again, I love it when he does duets with Lisa Hannigan. But like Animals Were Gone, like he's just singing kind of very low. It's like not a lot going on. And I think some people are like, oh, this is kind of boring. But to me, it's like, man, it's just a build up, because then later in the song, he hits you, full blast. Like he crescendos, gets very loud, gets passionate, and hits you with music starts coming in. And man, it's just a great, I love that about music, when you can start low and go up, crescendo up, and that's what's so great about that song and what Damon Rice does so well. But also Dogs is a really great song, a really great acoustic song. Love the acoustic guitar playing on this one as well. It's another one, I'd say it's just a really nice, just almost poppy song, I guess. And then there's one part where he really, again, just goes all out, really crescendos loud, and then goes back to the main part of the song. But I definitely check that song out. It's amazing. Just called Dogs for some reason. Then the other one, Gray Room, is the other song I really love on this album. Another really nice, I think it's a piano kind of ballad on here. Anyways, but the other stuff is okay, but those are the really, really great stuff on the album. The only problem with Damon Rice is like he and I'll talk about this on the O album as well, but he has this problem with the very last song. He turns into a huge, very long, overly long. Like this one, the last song, Sleep Don't Weep, is like 16 minutes long. And there's this like very long period where it's just, you hear glasses clanging, and it's just very annoying, and it's just like really boring and drags on. And it's like, why do that? And I think it's just because he does everything kind of independently. Like he writes all this stuff, he produces it all himself. And that's why he's not famous, I think, is because he never signed on with a big label. He just kind of does everything independently. So he has full control. He has full creative control over everything he does. I mean, even if you look at the album, it's kind of like, it's a very cheaply made album with like some kind of artwork that maybe he did or somebody knows. But then he gets a little too experimental, and that's what I think ruins the album somewhat from being better. It's like, this could be like a 10 out of 10 album, but then that last song, it's like, man, what are you doing? I mean, I'll talk about that with the other album here pretty soon. But yeah, that was number 86, and the album name is 9 by Damon Rice. Next, we got 85. We got Crosby and Nash by Crosby and Nash, which came out in 2004. Which I used to have the CD, and I got rid of it a long time ago, and before I really started collecting again, and I'm having a hard time finding it, which now I'm kind of mad I didn't keep the one I had. Hopefully I can find this, but man, great double album. The last album that the Crosby and Nash put together, of course, they met each other with Crosby, Stills, and Nash, and they've done at least three albums together, just them two, David Crosby and Graham Nash. And it's really good stuff, actually. One of their other albums used to be in my top 100, but wasn't anymore. I should say, I think all these albums I'm talking about were in my top 100 last time as well, but they're all probably a little bit lower than I think they were before. But yeah, this one, like Crosby Nash, I think it was much higher on my last list, but it kind of went down a little bit more because I can't find the copy very well. I don't listen to it as much. Still great, I think, and also it's a double album. I wish it was just a single album. I think there's probably too much songs on there, but the cool thing was I actually saw Crosby, Stills, and Nash in concert back around this time, back in 2004, 2005. I saw them in concert, and they were promoting this CD or this album, and that's why I got the CD after I heard the concert, because they played a number of these songs in the concert, besides playing their old classics, from the 60s and 70s period. And the new stuff I thought was great. Like, I was like, wow, this new music. Like, sometimes people, old bands like that, they're like, hey, here's some new music, and you're like, oh man, this is not that great. Like, you guys aren't as good as it used to be. But this was one point where I was like, man, the new music is like as good as the old music. So yeah, I was very impressed with the stuff they played there. Like, "Lay Me Down" kind of was a big song that they would. I don't know if any of these were radio songs, but "Lay Me Down" was the one I know they played a lot. They kind of put out there, was like kind of their first single or their one single on the album. Again, the harmonies are amazing. If you know Crosby Nash, oh my gosh, the harmonies are so good. Like on "Lay Me Down," really good harmonies here. "Through Here Quite Often," what a great song. Another great, where they both kind of take turns singing and harmonize on the chorus. Really great. I think they sing those at the concert. My favorite song is "Jesus of Rio," which is a Graham Nash song, which is almost like a solo song. Crosby doesn't really sing on it. It's really just Graham Nash and acoustic guitar and some other backing, and I think there's electric guitar as well that they play. But man, it's a beautiful song. The acoustic guitar playing is amazing. Graham Nash really was killing on vocals. That's what the most impressive thing was. Like, wow, I really like Graham Nash's voice. This is where I kind of, Nash is my favorite member of the Crosby, Stills and Nash and Young band. Vocally, I just love his voice, and he writes some good stuff here, like "Jesus of Rio." Really beautiful song. I really like that. "I Surrender," another really beautiful song. I think by Nash as well. "Don't Dig Here," which they played at the concert, which was really kind of cool. It's a really cool rock song. I know it's political. They even talked about it at the concert that was a political song, but really good. It's got some really good guitar work on it. The best rock song on the album. "Milky Way Tonight," another absolutely amazing Graham Nash song. Those are my two favorite, probably "Jesus Rio," "Milky Way Tonight." And they're more like Graham Nash, like solo songs that he does on his own. But "Penguin and Palm Trees," another great Nash song. "Shining on Your Dreams" is very upbeat and catchy. But yeah, and they even end on "Country 'Tis of Thee," which they did for the West Wing or something like that. And it's a really good addition of "Country 'Tis of Thee," But yeah, overall, it's one of those albums. The vocals are so good, even though they're getting older. The harmonies are amazing. Really good new stuff by. Unfortunately, that's the last album they got to put together. And David Crosby, of course, passed away recently. I would love to hear more from them, because even that album, I was like, man, this is so good. And it's still here on my list at number 85, Crosby and Nash. So, all right, number 84. This is an album I do own, and I did see in concert as well, and that is "The Anatomy of the Tongue-in-Cheek" by Relient K. This is another one of the more obscure bands I have on my list. This is a Christian rock band from the 2000s period. And what I know about them is because my freshman year in college, I went to a Christian university my freshman year called Grace University in Omaha, Nebraska. And like the first week, like we're all kind of, getting acclimated to the dorms and getting to know people and all that. And I don't know, maybe we're starting to take classes at that time, but it was like that first weekend or something that I was there. They had a free concert, and Relient K was the headliner of the concert anyways. And I never heard of Relient K or anything, but I was like, oh, everybody's going. So I was like, all right, I hopped a ride with somebody, went to this kind of gymnasium, and got hear like 4 or 5 rock bands. And then finally Relient K came on to headline, and I never heard of them, and other people were excited, and they came on. They were awesome. Like, it was a really cool concert experience, especially since it was free, and like I was like towards the front, and it was only standing room only, but they were really rocking, and I was like, wow, these songs are amazing. Like, who are they? And a lot of songs came off this album, because this album just, I think, came out at that point. And because this is 2001 when this came out, and it was about 2002, yeah, when I was my freshman year in college. So so I got this album afterwards at some point, or listened to it, and was like, oh man, I love this album. It's a Christian rock band, but they do have some songs that are definitely very worship, worshiping God kind of stuff. So but they do have a lot of good sense of humor. A lot of songs, a lot of songs has nothing to do with God or Christianity necessarily, but just are fun songs, anyways. That I like, anyways. So they kind of go back and forth between that. But I think even if you're not a Christian, I think you can really enjoy this album because the rock songs are just really, really good. I would say the best way to explain them, I mean, this is like early 2000s. They have a Blink-182 sound to them, I would say. In fact, when I played one of the songs for somebody, they described it as Blink-182 light or something, like, so again, it depends if you like Blink-182, if you don't, or that style. I don't know. I enjoyed it quite a bit. But yeah, the big song in here is Sadie Hawkins Dance, which is really just a funny song about, Sadie Hawkins is where the girl has to ask the guy out to the dance. So the whole song's about this guy at school who wants, he's trying to, get in with these girls and trying to get one of them to ask him out, but they won't. And it's very funny. Lyrically, it's so good, and the chorus is it's great guitar work, super catchy. The Sadie Hawkins dance in my khaki pants, there's nothing better. Oh, oh, oh. Girls ask the guys, always a surprise. There's nothing better, baby. Do you like my sweater? Something like that. Great chorus. In fact, I don't know if this was, I'm sure on Christian radio, this was like a big hit song. So it seems like their most well-known song. And they opened the concert with Sadie Hawkins dance. So that was so cool because I never heard it. I'm like, what is this song? It's amazing. It's so catchy. But then you got Pressing On, which they closed that. They closed I believe, or maybe it might be the other way around. They might have opened with Pressing On and closed with Sadie Hawkins Dance. But it was really cool how they did it because those were my two favorite songs, Sadie Hawkins Dance and Pressing On. And this album starts with Pressing On and then goes to Sadie Hawkins Dance. So the two best songs are the first two songs on the album, which is kind of crazy. But Pressing On, another just upbeat, just kind of more of a, encouragement song, just keep pressing on. But yeah, really great stuff. Then the next song, Down in Flames, probably my third favorite song on the album, which is more about, Christians not fighting amongst each others and, we're on the same side and Christians should be, there's a problem in the Christian, organization. I don't know what to call it, movement where we're fighting too much with each other, something like that. Anyway, so it's got a good message behind it, but also very catchy. But anyways, but there's so many other songs. For the Moments I Feel Faint is more of a ballad. It's mostly rock. There's a couple ballads here for the Moments I Feel Faint. Less is More. The finale is a great ballad as well. So a good combination of the two. Mostly heavy guitar rock music though. Really catchy music anyways. But so I highly recommend it. That's Anatomy of the Tongue in Cheek by Reliant K at number 84. You know what? I just now realized I forgot to write down my 81st album. So I'll have to go and do that here in a little bit. Number 83, I got another big album that you might be surprised at this low. Again, this is a lot of people's favorite album. I don't like it nearly as much as other people, unfortunately, but still, it's got some great stuff on it, and that is Abbey Road by the Beatles. Yeah, I know, this is probably a lot of people's number one. It's like Rolling Stones, it's like number 4 or 5 on their list, I think, which I get. It's their closing album, basically. It's got some great stuff, but it's also, to me, it's a little overhyped as well. This came out in 1969, of course, by the Beatles. Great, I love it. Probably my favorite album cover. It's so iconic. I've walked across there. One of my big bucket lists I got to do. But I mean, it's got 3 of the best Beatles songs. That's why it still gets this high on my list, because it has 3 of the best Beatles songs ever and 3 of the best songs ever written. You start with Come Together, which is, I think, their best rock song they ever did. Man, that bass line, boom, 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 it's amazing bass line that goes throughout, and then that drumming, the bass and the drumming is so good. It's such a good groove song. I think that I just like one of the songs like I can't help but bang my head to a little bit, and like not like violently banging my head, but like just kind of a little bit of a bang. Like, oh yeah, like I love that groove. That's a good groove kind of song anyway. So love that about it. And John just killing vocals, and such an interesting song in that chorus to Come Together. One of the probably most song that you probably hear here and there like on commercials and stuff. But yeah, come together. And then you got my favorite song on the album and top 5 song of all time. Something. I mean, the greatest love song probably ever put together. My favorite George Harrison song. Beautiful, beautiful love song. It's soft. It's kind of a ballad, but then it picks up in the chord, or picks up kind of midway through. And then that guitar solo, I think, is amazing. Like, it's not a fast-paced, like, shredding guitar solo. It's a little slower, but man, it's so beautiful. It's just a really beautiful, slow guitar solo, and just the whole song just sets this really cool mood. Uh, Absolutely love it. Something. Then you got Octopus's Garden on side one, which is actually my favorite Ringo song. Really like that song, actually. Kind of an underrated song, in my opinion. Like I said, it's my favorite Ringo song. Very catchy. Love the guitar work here. Yeah, like I say, Ringo is probably best vocals as well. Really good stuff here. And then Dope Inside 2, you got Here Comes the Sun. Probably my second favorite Harrison song ever. And again, another top 10 Beatles song. I mean, this album has 3 songs that are in my top 10 Beatles songs. So that's saying something when you got 3 of the best Beatles songs ever on your album. It's unfortunate the rest of the album doesn't quite live up to those 3, but still, Here Comes Sun. Again, I've said this before, it's one of the most beautiful, happy songs I've ever heard, where you heard it, when I hear it, I have to smile and go, man, like, because yeah, something about the sun makes you happy. And I love this. So Here Comes the Sun, like the happy idea, the sun. And the acoustic guitar playing so good, and the sun, 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 here it comes. It's just a really happy song. I love that song. Unfortunately, I'm not as big of a fan of any of the other songs on this album. That's why it's not that high on my list. A lot of people love that medley at the end, from Sun King, I think. Or no, You Never Give Me Your Money, I think, all the way to the end. It's kind of this big medley, they call it, which each song kind of goes into the next. To me, the songs are just okay. Like, You Never Give Me Your Money it's fine. She Came In Through the Bathroom Windows, decent song. And Carry That Weight's pretty good as well. And Golden Summer's pretty good. It's a beautiful song. It just feels like a lot of songs are just not full songs. It feels like they're half a song or something like that. Like, a lot of them are like songs that they started but never finished. And so it seems like unfinished songs just put together. And I don't care for Me and Mr. Mustard or Paul and Pam. I've never been a big fan of those. The end, I'm not that big fan of the end either. This is a jam song. And then even side one, Maxwell Silverhammer is okay. Oh, Darling, I never liked that song. A lot of people love that song. It's one of my least favorite Beatles songs, to be honest. Oh, Darling. And then I Want to Like, because it's really cool guitar work. It's a little too long, though. It drags a little bit. But anyway, so that's why Abbey Road here, number 83. Yeah, I know it should be higher, but I just couldn't put any higher. 3 really great songs, or 4 really great songs, and then really drops on after that. But still good enough to get there. All right, number 82, I got my other Damien Rice album. So I got 2 Damien Rice albums in this list. 9 and O. O is Damien Rice's debut album. This came out in 2002, actually, the year I graduated as well. So actually, this is probably my favorite. I guess I have this above Anatomy, or I have this above Rush of Blood Ahead. So I guess I could say this is my favorite album that came out the year I graduated at the moment. But yeah, it's funny. I did this album exchange with this album, and Adam liked it. Adam gave a good score, but both Briar and Nick did not like this album. They gave a really bad score. So I'm like, okay, maybe I'm the only one that really likes this album. It just speaks to me for some reason. Again, I already talked about Damien Rice. He's, if I didn't say he was from Ireland, he's just this singer-songwriter, kind of like an Ed Sheeran type singer-songwriter, I would say. Love his voice. But I would say for me, the first 6 songs are amazing. Delicate, Volcano. It's kind of a cool vibe to that one and I love the violin and cello. It sound great on a lot of these songs. The Blower's Daughter is probably the most well-known song on this album. It was in a movie called Closer with Natalie Portman and Jude Law and Jennifer Roberts and Clive Owen. It got some Oscar nominations, in fact. And so I saw this movie, and they played the song while you watch Natalie Portman walk in slow motion. Natalie Portman's absolutely beautiful. I always liked Natalie Portman. And it's, that it's just a part where it's like, I can't keep my eyes off of you. Can't keep my eyes off of you. And it kind of repeats that line over and over again. It's beautiful. Great vocals. I'm like, what is this song? It's so good. And so then I checked out this album, Oh, and it was on there. And I checked out his other songs. I'm like, man, these songs are amazing. Why is Damon Rice not a big, star? He should be a lot bigger than he is. But Blur's Daughter, absolutely beautiful kind of love song. Love that. Cannonball is great. Older Chest is actually my favorite song on the album. I love the acoustic guitar playing. Lisa Hannigan, of course, is great singing along with Damon Rice on that one. And it kind of tells a story. There's kind of some storytelling there I really like. And then the sixth song, Amy, it's the most orchestra music that he has. Orchestra comes in really strong on it. It's another really cool love song. And again, really crescendos, and he really sings really loud on it. And it's another beautiful song. Unfortunately, the album I think then the next three are not nearly that good. And then again, the last song, Eskimo, is actually like 3 or 4 songs put together. The first song, Eskimo, is pretty good, but then the other 3 are really not that good. And there's lots of pausing, lots of parts where there's nothing going on. There's silence. So I don't know, it really does a bad job with that. It's like 23 minutes long. It's way too long. It's boring. Some of the music I really don't like. So it's one of those things like, come on, Damien. Like if they took Eskimo off of here and put something else better, this would be a much better album. But it kind of hurts the album for me. But still, those first 6 songs, it's like, man, some of the best songs I've ever heard in my life. 10 out of 10 until that last part, and then it gets to a 9 out of 10 because these are all 9 out of 10 albums again. Like I said before. All right, now we're getting to the last song or last album on my list. At number 81 is another huge hit album. Another album that's a top 10 album for most people. So it's hard putting it this low. I'm just not as big on it. And that is Highway 61 Revisited by Bob Dylan. Came out in 1965. This actually, I said I had 3 Bob Dylan albums on here. I've already talked about 2 of them. Blood and Tracks, Highway 61 Revisited. So I have 1 more on my list. That's my favorite. Actually coming up fairly soon. So again, Bob Dylan, really like his stuff. Don't love it as much as other people, I would say. But it's obviously his most popular album, I think, most well known. This is the album that's usually, like Rolling Stones, I think it's in their top 10 as well. I feel like if you're going to have an album, most lists are going to have this album really high. In fact, even maybe number 1. I wouldn't be surprised if people had this number 1 on the list. It's such a huge album, and there's a lot of people that are big Bob Dylan fans. And a lot of this because it's this high, because it has my favorite Bob Dylan song of all time. One of my favorite 60s songs, that is Like a Rolling Stone. Definitely one of the more catchier tunes, I would say. And probably one of the better vocal work, because even most of the songs of this album, I mean, his vocals are terrible, but this is one where I think his vocals are actually quite good. And it's, like I said, the chorus, how does it feel to be on your own like a rolling stone? And yeah, I love the overall music. It's so good. And it tells a really good story. I think there's some great lyrics, like, about, somebody who's, married someone rich, but now they're like getting divorced. So when she was rich, she talked down on everybody, but now she's poor because the person she's married to, dumped them. I think that's kind of what the song's about. And so now she's poor. Now she's living on the streets and having to beg for stuff. And it's like turnaround's a good play. You were so high and mighty, and now you're not. Now you probably regret the way you treated people when you're rich and all that. So it's a really cool story, kind of telling yeah, really one of the best lyrical songs I think he's ever written. Yeah, so definitely that helps High 161 Visit get to this point, 81. Battle of the Thin Man's a really cool song. I really like that one. That guy, like, it sounds like he's like in a bar, and something, Mr. Jones. He ends it again. There's really no chorus, but he ends every verse on Mr. Jones, which is really cool. It's a really great way to end each verse, I think. And it's another song that's kind of long, and he's almost talk singing sometimes, but I don't know, it's just a very cool, very unique Bob Dylan song. Only he can do anyway, so it's on here. Song that I really like, there are a couple songs I really like. Queen Jane Approximate, never heard the song before until I heard this album. Really good song, man. Just really nice, kind of catchy song for him. Yeah, I don't know what to say, but it's a really nice song. very hidden gem song anyways. And then the closer I think is really good, Desolation Row, and I've talked to other people that absolutely love the song as well. So I know I'm not alone on that to say like it's one of the best songs on the album. And it's crazy because the last song, it's over 11 minutes long. It's really long, but man, is it good. And it just, as you just keep wanting to go on and on. It's one of the songs it doesn't drag at all. You're just like, yeah, I'm just really into this song. So definitely check those out if you haven't. About Thin Man, I guess I wouldn't say it's a hit either. Like Rolling Stones, the only really hit song on the album, but that one you've heard many times already. But those other ones, I think, definitely check them out. They're really cool Bob Dylan songs, amongst others like Tombstone Blues and so forth. But yeah, one of Bob Dylan's best albums. Unfortunately, only 81 on my list, but still an album I think. Unfortunately, I don't have it. It's another album I really need to get, and definitely one you have to listen to. I've even heard people say it's like maybe the most, again, Sgt. Pepper or this one is like pop culturally like the greatest album ever made, like made a big influence on everybody. Anyway, so yeah, that's my list here from 90 to 81. And again, I wish I could do this quicker, but I have a hard time because I want to say so much about these albums that I really like. But anyways, hopefully you get a lot of information there and enjoyed that list. And please feel free to comment. What do you think about these albums? I know I'm going to get a lot of hate comments maybe because these albums should be higher, but that's just my opinion and my list, what I like. But yeah, feel free to comment. Love to read those. And just thank you to everybody watching this video. Thank you for liking it. Thank you to all my subscribers for supporting the channel. I really appreciate you all and hope you have a good day.